The ice winds of Kepler 442c howled across the crystalline wasteland, carrying temperatures that would flash freeze most carbon-based life forms in seconds. Captain Wei Jiang pulled his thermal gear tighter as he surveyed the crash site through the viewports of the emergency shelter. The merchant vessel Prosperity's Edge lay scattered across 3 kilometers of frozen terrain, its hull cracked open like an egg. 17 hours until rescue, announced Zixathara, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the shelter's heating lamps. The Vrexian trader's compound eyes fixed on the human with what he'd learned to recognize as amusement. Assuming the beacon is still functional. The beacon's fine, rumbled Gorthak from his corner. The massive Thurian's rocky hide seemed impervious to the cold, but even he stayed close to the heating units. Question is whether we'll all be here when they arrive. The emergency shelter was designed for short-term survival, not extended, habitation by 4 different species. The heating elements were already showing strain, their orange glow flickering ominously. Wei ran quick calculations in his head: power consumption, thermal efficiency, biological requirements. The math wasn't encouraging. Human physiology is poorly adapted for extreme cold, observed Dr. Kixtall, the expedition's Zenthari medic. Her translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that Wei had learned indicated concern. Internal temperature regulation is primitive. You will likely succumb first. Zixthara's mandibles clicked. Vrexian laughter. I give him 6 hours before hypothermia sets in. 8 if he's particularly stubborn. Make it interesting, Gorthak suggested, his voice like grinding stone. I wager 12 thermal credits he doesn't last past dawn. Wei watched his companions place their bets with growing irritation. They weren't being cruel, merely practical. Humans were the newcomers to the galactic community, their homeworld's moderate climate having produced what most species considered embarrassingly fragile biology. No natural armor, no redundant organs, no evolved resistance to temperature extremes. In the harsh calculus of survival, he was indeed the most likely casualty. You're not wrong about human physiology, Wei admitted, standing and moving toward the shelter's equipment locker. We're soft, squishy, and poorly insulated, but you're making one critical error in your calculations. Which is? Dr. Kixtall inquired, her patterned speech shifting to what Wei recognized as genuine curiosity. You're assuming I'll try to survive the way you would. The emergency kit contained standard survival gear: protein bars, water purification tablets, emergency blankets, and a small heating unit designed for personal use. Wei also found something more interesting: a portable geological scanner with a high-powered heating element for mineral analysis. Fascinating, Dr. Kixtall observed as Wei began dismantling the device. Are you planning to analyze our frozen corpses for posterity? Wei grinned, extracting the heating element and examining its power coupling. Something like that. Over the next hour, his companions watched with growing bewilderment as Wei systematically disassembled half the shelter's portable equipment. He stripped the heating coils from the geological scanner, the emergency beacon's backup power cell, and 3 personal warming units. The emergency blankets, metallic sheets designed to reflect body heat, were carefully arranged in a specific pattern around his work area. The human has succumbed to hypothermic delirium, Gorthak announced matter-of-factly. Should we restrain him before he damages essential equipment? Wait, Zixthara said, her compound eyes tracking Wei's movements with sharp attention. There's method to this madness. Wei was now arranging stones from outside the shelter, chunks of mineral-rich rock that had been superheated by the geological scanner's repurposed heating element. He placed them carefully inside a makeshift enclosure constructed from emergency blankets, creating a tent within a tent around his sleeping area. Thermal mass, he explained, noticing their attention. These stones will retain heat for hours. The reflective blankets trap and recirculate the warm air. Basic thermodynamics create a microenvironment with higher thermal retention than the surrounding space. Primitive, scoffed Gorthak. Technological regression in the face of crisis. Ingenious, countered Dr. Kickstall, her bioluminescence, shifting to patterns way associated with professional admiration. He's creating a localized heating system with dramatically improved efficiency compared to our centralized approach. As the main heating system struggled against the deepening cold, Wei's improvised sauna maintained a comfortable temperature. He'd even rigged a simple ventilation system using the shelter's air circulation fans, preventing carbon dioxide buildup, while maintaining heat retention. By the fourth hour, Gorthak's rocky hide was showing frost patterns. Zix's Thara had moved closer to the failing central heaters, her chitinous segments clicking with involuntary shivers. Dr. Kickstall's bioluminescent patterns had dimmed to conserve energy. Wei, meanwhile, was comfortably warm in his stone-heated sanctuary. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Kickstall admitted, her pattern speech barely visible in the dimming light. "Human adaptability appears far more sophisticated than our initial assessments indicated." "Not adaptability," Wei corrected, replacing one cooling stone with a freshly heated replacement. "Innovation. My species didn't evolve natural defenses against extreme environments. We evolved the ability to create artificial ones." Zix's Thara's mandibles clicked weakly. "You turned our survival scenario into an engineering problem." "Everything's an engineering problem if you approach it correctly." When the rescue ship arrived 13 hours later, they found 3 alien crew members clustered around the failing central heating system, their biological functions slowed to near hibernation levels. The human sat comfortably in his improvised sauna, using the geological scanner's display as a reading light while he worked on improving his heating stone rotation system. The rescue team's captain, a veteran Catherian with decades of emergency response experience, stared at the scene in disbelief. "I've seen a lot of creative survival solutions," she admitted, "but turning crash debris into a mobile sauna is a new one." As they prepared for evacuation, Gorthak approached Wei with what might have been sheepishness. "The thermal credits. I wagered against your survival." "Keep them," Wei interrupted, carefully packing his heated stones for the journey. "Consider it payment for an important lesson." "Which lesson?" Wei smiled, gesturing toward his improvised heating system. "Never bet against a species that conquered their homeworld by making fire their personal servant. We've been turning rocks and sticks into survival tools for 50,000 years. A little ice isn't going to stop us now." The betting pool was quietly dissolved, and galactic survival manuals were subsequently updated to include a new section on human adaptive engineering. The entry noted that while human physiology remained disappointingly fragile, their tendency to reinvent their environment mid-crisis made them remarkably difficult to kill. Wei kept the heated stones as souvenirs, and his improvised sauna design eventually became standard equipment on exploration vessels. After all, you never knew when. "You might need to turn a disaster into a spa day,"